Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be taking a look at one of our Masterclass sessions looking at how to write a leaflet. So specifically in this video we're going to understand the key skills to tackle the writing section for level 1 and level 2 English. Look at the organisational or presentational features. I'd like to think, which would you use to write a leaflet? So first we have bullet points, paragraphs, a title, numbering or listing, headlines, and images. So if you want to take a minute and pause the video here, please feel free to have a think about which ones you'd use for a leaflet. You don't always use the same presentational or organisational features for every form of writing, so it's really important that you're aware of which ones apply to which form of writing. Class feedback. Check your answers against the ones below. So if you have a look at the table then, we've got our features of a leaflet. We have a title, subheadings and paragraphs. Now hopefully you're already aware of this, but if you're not, every single form of writing that you produce, so that's for the actual writing assessment for functional skills level 1 or level 2, should be written in paragraphs. If you're not doing this, then it's going to make it that much more difficult for anyone to understand what you're trying to communicate. By the end of this video, you'll be able to recall key details about writing leaflets, understand how to approach a writing question, and finally, apply your understanding to attempt an exam style question. Look at the writing question and attempt the challenges that follow. So it says then, these days teenagers spend too long on their mobile phones. You've been asked to write a leaflet for a local college advising them on how to reduce time on their devices. In your response you should express yourself clearly and concisely, use the appropriate tone for a leaflet, have a good standard of spelling, punctuation and grammar, and the word count is 250 to 300 words. It's also important to note that whenever you do have a writing assessment, there's not just one task, there will be two tasks as well. So it's important that you think about managing your time appropriately in the assessment. So the first thing we're going to think about is, can you identify what the TAP of the exam question is? If you're not too sure what we mean by this, we mean the topic, the audience and the purpose. Now this is going to help you to break down specifically what the question is relating to. Next we have the super challenge, so what is meant by tone and how would it apply to this question? And a final one, the mega challenge. I want you to think, what kind of language techniques would be best for this kind of question? Class feedback. Check your answers against the ones below. So for our challenge then, we're thinking about the TAP. So the T, which is topic, is really about reducing screen time. The audience is going to be teenagers, specifically teenagers who are at college, and the purpose is to advise. So whenever you get any kind of writing task, there's three main purposes. It's either going to be to inform, advise, or persuade. So you can see there from a leaflet, generally they're produced to advise. Super challenge. So in terms of tone, tone refers to the attitude and mood of the writing. And the mega challenge, some of the effective language techniques could be facts, statistics, rhetorical questions, and emotive language. Now it's important to note that when you are talking about language techniques as well, there is quite a wide range of language techniques that can come up, especially when you think about the reading section as well. So if you do have any questions about that, please do give us a comment and we'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Before we move on, I'd like to try and think about the stretch and challenge task. So how does this compare to the other forms of writing you've studied? If you look at our channel, there are lots of other videos that go through the other forms of writing, and there's other masterclasses as well. So think about, how does writing a leaflet, our understanding of that at the moment, compare to the other forms of writing? Look at the extracts and attempt the questions that follow. So if you click on the link below, you'll be able to access the full extract as well as some key comprehension questions based on that text there. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take your time, read through it, download the actual text and think, what form of writing has been used and how is this different from a leaflet? So you might be asking, why are we looking at a different form even though we started to talk about a leaflet? The reason is because this text is going to be linked to the topic that we're looking at, Reading it is going to help you to practice both your reading skills, but also help us when we approach our writing question to come up with some of those key ideas around the topic. Comprehension questions. Answer the questions below to test your understanding. So number 1. Look at the line, consumed by a small object. Which of the following words best describes the writer's tone? So is it A, humorous, B, concerned, C, amused, or D, excited? Number 2. The writer doesn't blame parents for giving their children mobile phones. Identify a quotation to support this view. Now, if you're not too sure what we mean by a quotation is where you select a piece of evidence from the text to support a point you're trying to make. Number 3. Look at paragraph 2. What is meant by the line, I just feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place? Number 4. Where has the writer used a triplet or a group of 3? And number 5. Look at paragraph 3. Where has the writer used emotive language? If you want to pause the video here and go through it at your own time, please feel free to do so. Again, the document is available to download if you just click the link in the description. Number 6. Look at the line, desperate bid to boost productivity. What does this imply about the working environment? Number 7. Identify one example of alliteration from text A. Number 8. Look at the third paragraph. What is the purpose of brackets? Number 9. Look at paragraph 4. Replace the word premature with another suitable adjective. And the final one, number 10. Look at text A. Identify one example of a professional opinion. Again, if you want to pause the video here, please feel free to do so and go through it at your own time. It's really important that even if you are thinking about doing your writing, that we're still coming back and practicing these key reading skills. The better you are at this, the more it's going to actually have a knock-on effect and actually affect your writing as well. As feedback, check your understanding against the correct answers. So number 1 then, is look at the line consumed by a small object. Which of the following words best describes the writer's tone? So the correct answer would be concerned. Number 2, the writer doesn't blame parents for giving their children mobile phones. Identify one quotation to support this view. So answers may include, but are not limited to, they often face a losing battle against peer pressure and making sure their children don't feel as though they're missing out. Now, if you've got any other ideas that you're not too sure about, please put it in the comments below and we'll try and get back to you, have a little bit of a back and forth, a conversation, and that helps because a lot of people will probably be having the similar thoughts to yourself. Number 3, look at paragraph 2. What is meant by the line, I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place? So answers may include, but are not limited to, 2 difficult decisions, no way to make the right choice, or anything along the same lines. Number 4. Where has the writer used a triplet or a group of 3? So one example would be social anxiety, bullying, and even depression. Again, if you're not too sure, if you want to leave a comment, please do so and I'll get back to you as soon as we can. And number 5, look at paragraph 3. Where has the writer used emotive language? So an example of that would be, the workplace has suffered greatly from our dependency on screen. Specifically, the emotive language would come with that word suffered. Okay, so question 6 then. Look at the line, desperate bid to boost productivity. What does this imply about the working environment? So answers may include, but are not limited to, people get easily distracted, the workers are less productive due to their devices, or anything around those kind of lines. Number 7, identify one example of alliteration from text A. So one example would be dreaded doom. Number 8, look at the third paragraph. What is the purpose of brackets? It's to add additional information. And number 9, look at paragraph 4. Replace the word premature with another suitable adjective. So answers may include but not limited to soon, early or hasty. And our final one, number 10, look at text A, identify one example of a professional opinion. So if you're not too sure what we mean by this, a professional opinion is where it's someone's view that's actually come from a position of authority on the subject. So our answer would be then, research carried out by David Fulham of the Educational Research Facility commented that this new advancement in technology has the potential to turn education on its head. There are certain benefits to be had, but we must remember to limit our usage and avoid the dreaded doom scrolling. Now, if we think about the different forms of writing that we've looked at so far, think about the two different texts. So we're currently looking at a leaflet, but we've also been looking at articles as well. So with the leaflet then, they usually includes writing to advise. For an article, it's usually writing to inform. For a leaflet, you'd have a title, whereas for an article, you would have headlines. For a leaflet, you'd have subheadings and paragraphs, and for an article, you'd have paragraphs. For the language techniques, for a leaflet, you'd have things like facts, statistics, opinions, and rhetorical questions. And for an article, you'll have things like facts, statistics, and professional opinions. So you can see there that there are some similarities as well as some differences. It's really important that you go over these regularly so that you're well prepared for your assessment, because we really don't know what form of writing might come up. Look back at the exam question and use the success criteria to begin your response. So just a reminder then, this was the writing task that we looked at initially. You should use everything you've looked at within this video to help you come up with the ideas and to write your response. So it says, these days teenagers spend too long on their mobile phones. You've been asked to write a leaflet for a local college advising them on how to reduce time on their devices. And here is our criteria there. And then if you look at the success criteria for any form of writing is really fairly similar. So the first thing to think about whenever you have any writing task is, are you writing in the correct form? So in this case, we have to write a leaflet. So are you using the correct presentational or organisational features for the task? Have you communicated clearly and concisely? Do you have accurate spelling, punctuation and grammar? Have you used some examples of language techniques? And finally, have you made sure that you meet the required word count? If you're not too sure about this, if you think about 250 to 300 words, we're talking about 50% or even 70% of an A4 piece of paper. In terms of our next lesson, we're going to go over the following things. So we're going to recall the key skills needed for the writing assessment again. We're going to understand how to approach a blog, and you're going to apply your understanding to an exam style question. If you need any help or if you've got anything that you actually want us to mark, so for example, if you've had a go at that writing question and you're desperate for some feedback, please do get in touch. We'll mark it, we'll give you some feedback, and we'll help you to improve along your course. Again, if you need any additional support, the new videos will be added every single week. Alternatively, you can leave us a comment below or visit our partner channel, Bookworm Teaching, for more lessons and guidance on all things English. Thanks ever so much for listening, guys, and all the best with your work and revision in the future. Bye bye.